fifth turn of our 2020 aerobic compost heap. I want to mention this particular pile is similar to last year's, except that I'm not turning it as often. I'm stretching out the length of time between turns. And we're anywhere from 2 days and 8 hours to 2 days and 16 hours like this one is. This turn is. Last year I had 13 turns total. I think last year I called them flips. And probably have 4 or maybe 5 at the most left, and we're on 5. So we're going to be 10 or less. Now I have some special ingredients this time around. I guess when I get to them I'll show them to you in the camera. But before we get into actually uncovering the pile, this is how I gather the wild green plant component of these composts. Check this out. Here I'm going to be harvesting some garlic mustard and goldenrod for the compost pile. Yes, I'm going to get on my hands and knees. What a shock to you city slickers. So now you see that bed is cleaned up. That's how it works. There's another full bucket. I think that's enough for this session because I want to save some for the next couple turns. I think we have 4, maybe 5 turns left yet, and then we're done. So I want to add green material every turn except for the very last one, and even then I might, just to see what happens. Oh yeah, that's steamy. I see a little bit of that white bacteria already. This pile is going to be harder to put because I put in all that stemmy material. And one of the extra ingredients, this flip is a similar batch of stemmy material. Maybe not quite as bad because comfrey doesn't hold together as well as burdock. But this will be the last time I add any bulk material from my fermenting from last year. I also have all that stuff in the barrel I gotta add yet. There's sod in there, that takes a little time. So I should probably get that in here. It'll make this even more difficult to flip the next time, but I don't have many more turns left to go. So this is what all those fermented burdock stems look like after 2 and more than half days of composting. Here's a piece of sod. The green has gone out of it. Now we've got to get the bulk of it out of there for it to digest. But if it doesn't, no big deal, because when I put it out in the rows, the worms will take care of the rest of it. It'll be thoroughly dead, so it ain't going to come back to life and pollute my beds. Here is another batch of kitchen scraps. Now this swamp smelly material is what I packed into a barrel last July. That would be mostly comfrey, but I'm sure I had other wild plants involved too. And that looks very rich for being that old. These 2 barrels that I had from last July, they smelled the worst. I don't know, well, I didn't think it was that bad, but the complaint department was raising a fuss. You know who I mean? I also have a lot of green material in here. I forgot I put it in there. Keep it fresh as I was doing my weeding. Oh, got the potato eyes. I don't know. I'm sure I've added that before. Potato eyes. That's my seed potatoes growing in the basement in bags. That's how I've done it every year for the last, well, since probably 2012 I've been doing this. I just put it in a couple paper bags, and I got a wooden cabinet in my basement. I put it on the bottom shelf where the cooler basement floor is, and it's probably 60 degrees in there. These potatoes have had to adapt to that. So they do grow eyes out of the bags, but it's dark, so they don't produce a leaf. And I just cut the eyes off. When I plant them, I just take them all off. One year I actually planted them with the eyes on to see what happened, and they grew, but I don't think it was any faster than any other ones. But I'm not doing any scientific studies on any of this, recording the results of any of it, other than what you see on YouTube here. So I don't know. I don't know for sure. But there are so many varying variables, I don't think anybody knows. There's a lot of coarse material in here to break down, so I don't know how it's going to go. But it doesn't matter, since I'm going to be building garden beds out of it. If it's coarse, whatever I plant on it, they'll grow right into it. What's important is that it's all gone through this heat treatment, and none of it's going to sprout. And all of it that isn't completely digested by the bacteria will be digested by the worms. And if we get worms in, then that's another benefit, because the secretions of worms are in themselves just chock full of all kinds of good bacteria. And that is food for our plants. Yeah, the sod's starting to break apart. I gotta try to empty some barrels, because we got a monster rain event coming, and I want to fill them up, because I don't know when the next rain is coming. I've been operating this growing season with the idea, because there's a lot less airplane traffic, we're going to get more sunlight, and maybe warmer conditions, maybe drier conditions. I don't know what it's going to do. I'm kind of preparing for that. And if it's a normal year, we get normal rainfall and it's normal temperature, really no big deal. I mean, all I'm doing is storing up water and all that. I've got some straw. I can get more straw. If things start really drying out, I'll just start mulching all the garden beds with straw, and that will reduce evaporation. And if we get adequate rain, well, it isn't like I bet the farm on something. those burdock stems really aren't that bad to turn here. So one thing that I'm doing right now is I got my new pile well established, and when I take drier material from the outside, especially the bottom, I'm throwing it to the inside of the pile because everything's going to be going on top of it. Then when I make a new channel for the next round of getting this pile transitioned, that's where the material's really working hard, so I'll throw it to the top and let it trickle down the other way. So I get the inside to the outside, the outside to the inside. Yeah, that sounds like a good start for a good title for a song. Okay, I'm going to introduce you to one of my ingredients. If you've watched previous videos, previous years of composting, you've seen this probably 5-6 years straight. This is called biochar. I make this in my wood burner. You see, it's biochar that is still together, but when you put pressure on it, it snaps real easily. That's biochar. That's how biochar works. What it is it's burning wood without oxygen. I got videos on how I do it. But basically, what it is I have little cans, little tin cans that have covers. I poked a few nail holes in the covers, and I found that green wood is the best to use. The dry wood, sometimes it burns, and then all you get is ash. If you're biochar, if you see people promoting ash as biochar, it's not biochar. So it's in that tin can with the cover, and then I put that tin can right into the fire. The fire cannot contact the wood. So what happens is the oils are forced through those little holes, and it burns on the outside of the can. So the wood inside isn't being burned by fire, it's being heated. And they say burned by oxygen, but it isn't even really being burned. It's just forcing all the oils out of the wood. And what's produced is oh yeah, I got that deer head in there. Jeez, I can't forget that. Ooh, it's getting worked. Well, I guess since we got these two in my hands, I'll come show you what these are. I don't add a lot of this, this is all I'm going to add to the entire compost of each of these two elements. This is green sand. That is the minerals of ancient oceans. And this is azomite. That is the minerals of deep earth. So Right here we have Icelandic kelp. And now we have the elements of current oceans from the far north. Well, now I'm getting a little resistance, getting that burdock stems out of there. Well, that's pretty dry right there. Oh, it's getting close to the outside, that's probably why. Yep. managed to get through this dry period with enough water from the compost, because so far it was stored from last year in those gray barrels with covers on them. And I stored the water with green material from last year. So it was a double bonus where I got the water, and I also had green material to start the pile up, because when I start May 1st, there isn't a lot of green material available around the property yet. I'm really adding a lot of water right here in this spot because I want that deer head to really get moving. We only got 4 or 5 turns left. It probably won't be done enough, but it'll be done to be finished, but it'll be done enough to leave things dry out, hanging in the shed. The meat component will be gone. So this pile I'm turning with the idea of the space that I'm going to have for the next one. And it's amazing how it's taken me this many years to get this all set up. So that's going to be a lot easier, or not a lot, but it'll be easier to manage the turn. Having a little more space. The first couple turns I still didn't do it very well. Doing a lot of planting the last couple days. Looks like we've had our last major frost date. You don't know, something might come along, but I planted potatoes. Normally takes them a couple weeks to get out of the ground, so we'll have a couple of week grace period there. And if there's something sticking out of the ground and there's a big frost, some of the tops die off. I don't think that kills the potato. That's just sending up more eyes. So here's a good representation of the burdock stems. See, it's breaking down. That was in 2 days and 16 hours. The green nitrogen is out of it. So the next time I better be bringing comfrey in here. There's always a little delay. You might have a really good pile, a really good heap going on, and you think, oh, it'll last until the next time, but it doesn't. At this stage, you got to keep adding now. It cools off pretty fast. That's if you're doing what I'm doing, where I'm trying to keep it going to get as many elements. You know, the elements that are in these wild plants right now, they're available right now. And I got to do that weeding anyway. My land isn't quite fully developed yet. In the end, there isn't going to be a lot of sun getting to the ground. And a lot of these plants just aren't going to be able to survive very well. But right now, it's still kind of open yet, and they can gain a foothold. So having to do this cleanup, weeding this out a little bit, and utilizing it for compost kind of fits into that stacking functions idea of permaculture. Doing more than if you're doing something, make sure it has more use than just one. So So there's 2, and we can start thinking about the benefits of all these composts. That's 3. Benefits of all the elements in the compost. The timing, this type of compost lasts in your soil for 17 years. So you're adding a timing dimension to it. You're increasing the longevity of your land. Oh man, I gotta get some more of that stuff in here. I want to get it all in now. This heavier, especially the sod, that takes good time. Muck. Yeah, we got the 16th today, and we got 14 more days. Yeah, this will be, if there's some big chunks left, it won't pose an issue in the garden beds. There shouldn't be. That's a long time. I don't know if I can even keep going for 14 more days. We'll see. I might want to. If it's this nice, you might be looking at shutting down early just because I want to get planting it. Green sand. Azomite. Kelp. Greens. You see me do that earlier. Can't get much out of there now. Oop, we spilled some on the ground. Let's get some dry material down here to soak it up before it goes in the ground. We got a little hair left in the bottom of this thing yet. That's another source of nitrogen. Woo. Ooh, it's got a little steep face to it right here. It's being able to hold up because I have all the stemmy material in here. There. on overtime. Looks like the business is starting to tick up just a teeny bit, so we can go back to doing some of that. After all, I do have to make some money. I have a few employees that are expecting this business to keep going, so that's what I'm doing. There, that's the last of my old ferment. Boy, it's got a really nice color to it too. I should give you a short close-up of that. This is comfrey. Look at how green it still is. That's after being underwater since July, so what is that, 10 months? It's pretty good. And the water now that's left is very rich, very green. It's full of nutrients, I'm sure. And that I'm going to be using by pouring it on garden plants. I don't mix it with. Sometimes I've done it straight with no ill effects, and everything grows really good. But I like to mix it with rainwater, make it last. I'll make my next batch of comfrey tea, as I'm calling it. Right on, the next turn I'm going to be cutting all the comfrey down and adding it to the pile. So it's going to take a month for it to grow back, maybe a little more. So probably about July, yep. Then I'll make my next batch, and then it takes 30 days for it to complete. If you open the lid before 30 days, it smells pretty bad. It smells like really bad swamp water. So it won't be ready until August. So what I have now, I'd like to make it last until that time. Probably have the equivalent of 2 of these barrels completely full. Probably more. I got 2 barrels left of material in. Those are 2 barrels that I made late last fall. So I can do a number of exchanges with that yet. What I mean by that is I'll empty as much water as I can get out of it, then I'll fill it back up with rainwater. And then normally it lasts a good 5 exchanges. You know, you can tell it's getting weaker and weaker in the water as a solution, because it's less thick with green. At that time, I'll take the material and I can just add it right to garden beds that I'm not using or I'm transitioning. I'll pull the shallots and the potatoes and onions out, add that green material right to the beds, let it work for a couple weeks, then plant some fall seeds in it. The main fall seed that I plant is fall radishes. If you haven't ever planted a fall radish, man, I encourage you to do it. Some of them are downright sweet and they get to be huge or tender. I haven't done much fall carrot planting or any of that. I should start branching out into some more different types of crops. But I don't have a lot of space here either. Perennials. Perennial bushes and trees. Those take a lot more time. So I've devoted more space to that. With the idea I could always expand into the wife's lawn grass. if it got desperate. Don't tell her I said that. Gotta make sure she's not looking at me. She doesn't watch any of my videos, so I can pretty safely talk about her. I normally don't. I hardly ever do. But she does have long grass. So there's room for expansion. Oh. I went and got some peanuts. I haven't had peanuts for 2 months. At the local big box store, they're letting you do a computer order, and I can pick up stuff at the back door. Oh, and I got the biochar. Jeez, I forgot that too. I gotta get it in here. This first batch of this pile will be the middle of the new pile. So it kind of works. Ooh, piece of wire fence. So that biochar, I didn't finish that story. So what the biochar does is, the process, the structure of the biochar itself is full of a whole bunch of little holes and fissures. Very, very tiny. Trillions of them. And those become homes for bacteria. And it's the secretions of soil life, like bacteria, that feed our plants. So the more soil life you have, the more food there is for your plants, and the more nutritious your plants become, healthier and nutritious. But if you add biochar directly to the soil, it might take years and years for that to fill up with soil life. Whereas putting it in this compost pile, I'm making trillions and trillions. I'm creating trillions and trillions of bacteria with this mix and with this method. And I don't know for sure. I'm not looking at it on microscopes. I'm kind of relying on what other people have studied it. Supposedly this fills it all up. Now, as soon as you add it to the soil, it's working. That vocal catbird that's in the background. Of course, you might not be able to pick it up on that. I might not be picking it up on that microphone of the camera, but it's a young one. Must be a male. It was actually hatched and raised here last year. I know it's the same one because it's a little bit lighter blue color. Slate, kind of a slate color bird. The parents are just dark gray blue sort of color. And he's just vocalizing like crazy, so I'm guessing he's a male looking for a female to come along. Hopefully he finds a nice, experienced old female that knows what to do. Start raising some more slate colored catbirds. Some type of an adaptation for some reason. Maybe that's a sign it's going to get hotter. They want to get lighter color. I don't know. Alright. We just got a little bit of water left in these two vessels. Some muck in here. Let that trickle out. There. How about that? What you're looking at right here is called success. You take that to the bank. Well, actually, don't take it to the bank. They'll loan it to somebody else who's not nearly as productive. Well, I think I'm going to take a gardening day off. Well, I haven't taken that off because I'm doing this, but maybe I'll start working on a boat to get that ready to go fishing. That's it. All right, finished for this turn. This turn is finished, and we'll see you on the next episode of As the Compost Turns.